If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. Okay, I was kind of wrong, and I know a lot of y'all are going to be like, yo, I told you, and your first reaction was like, ass, but let me explain this real quick. So, Lil Baby dropped It's Only Me, his long-awaited new album that I've been hyping up for the longest time, last Friday on October 14th. It's now been, it's been 4 days since the album dropped, and the first reaction that I had to this record, now, I dropped this, I listened to it live on Twitch, which, by the way, live listening parties are a thing, and make sure to follow me on Twitch. It's Ben's Music Live. It'll be in the description down below. Peep that. And I said in the live reaction to this that I really wasn't as positively surprised, you know, by this. I was more like, okay, this is more like what I feared that it would be. And the first video that I made after that was, this is disappointing. And of course, the reactions, the comments were very polarizing, which I knew was going to happen. Obviously, when you do a title like that, you're kind of like putting it out there for that purpose. A lot of people were like, yo, I feel you. Like, I wasn't hating. If you watched the video, I wasn't hating, but I was more like, okay, this is kind of like what I feared that it would be, in the way that, like, it's not bad, but it's also not great. And I wanted Lil Baby to evolve, to really, you know, elevate to a whole nother level. And he definitely didn't do that with this album. But I do want to correct myself in that now listening to it 4 days later, this wasn't disappointing. And maybe it is because a lot of the songs are very similar, and that is not said in any bad way. A lot of, you know, people that don't like Lil Baby use this as, you know, kind of like a reason to say that this album wasn't good. I saw a funny tweet on Twitter. Yeah, obviously that's where I see a tweet. This guy was like skipping through all the songs and like skipping through them, like putting it on a random timestamp. And the drums do sound a lot like the same drums on every single song. So I get the point that people are making, but for people that like that type of music, that's obviously not a bad thing. And now, kind of going through it, there are still a couple of cuts that I go back to, like, on the daily. Like, for example, my favorite song for the first 2 days, it was California Breeze, because that was also the one that he was like promoting the most. But now I've listened to it a lot, and I'm kind of like, you know, just burned out by it. Perfect Timing is an incredible song. Another great song is also Not Finished, and I had to look that up on my phone real quick. Also, Russian Roulette, the outro, I thought was actually pretty good. Now, listening back to it a couple more times, the Russian Roulette is kind of a song that I can see on, like, the Voice of the Heroes. I also still like the Forever cut with Friday, even though, as I said multiple times, it could have been so much more. But I do like it. It's not bad. And of course, just songs that I just don't skip, like the Young Thug song or the ESTG song, obviously. So stuff like that, it's solid. It just wasn't the big album that I wanted Baby to really elevate with. And maybe that's where my expectations came into play, and I was a bit, like, you know, dragged down by them, and I get that. But I always say I had those expectations for a reason. Like, it's not like those expectations were like, okay, like, just complete nonsense. The same thing with Roddy Ricch. A couple of y'all also compared him to Roddy. Like, when we were moving into Live Life Fast, it's not like we had those expectations for no reason. That the guy himself thought that he was the new Kendrick, and he went into this new album like it's a masterpiece, and it really wasn't. And that's the reason it flopped. While objectively, it wasn't a bad album, like, in a lot of ways, but obviously people didn't like it across the board, and that is because a lot of people were expecting a great, you know, masterpiece album. And commercially, this Lil Baby album is actually doing pretty well. I recently reposted this tweet where, I mean, that was only after like a day or two, but the album was projected to sell about, I think it was about 200,000 first week, a little above 200,000, and that is not bad at all. That is a little more than My Turn. My Turn sold 197,000 first week, which obviously it could still drop below that. I think by the end of the week, like by Friday, that we get the full first week numbers, it'll actually be more like 170, 180. That's kind of my guess where it'll land, like, roughly. But that's still very good for an album nowadays, because album sales are very low, you know, in general, just because streaming is becoming more and more of a portion of the pie. Also because Billboard introduced those, you know, not counting bundles with like either physical copies or merch that are being sold in the summer of 2020, and My Turn dropped in February of 2020, I believe it was. So that's also a big reason why this one is not going to sell as much, or why this one is projected not to sell as much. And also we had 2 singles with Detox and Hey that really were not big. They were both not that good, and back then we had Whoa and Some to Prove, both of which are amazing tracks and people recognize as amazing. So in comparison to My Turn, this album still shows that Baby is a big superstar. You know, we can tell that by all the big brand deals that he's had, also the FIFA World Cup song, the Axe, like, you know, collaboration brand deal that he had. Like, y'all, I've talked about this quite a lot. So it still shows he's a superstar. He definitely proven that. And this album is one of the best selling records of this year. So that still proves to me that Baby is a heavyweight in the game that needs to be reckoned with, and that people should look to and be like, okay, this man can actually move something when he drops. And that is completely true. I just hope it also serves the same thing when the next album comes around, because I still have faith in the next album. And I hope I'm not being naive, but maybe this album was like, okay, I'm gonna prove to y'all that I'm the Baby that y'all like, and I can rap and I can do all of that. But then also on the next album, I can do those hurricane type of vibes, like those legendary things that you still remember 10 years from now. So that's kind of what I hope he moves a little bit more into, at least on like a small portion of the tracks on the record. I still want those not finished and everything and double down type of vibe songs that we know he's good at. He just dropped the video for Stan on it, so we know he's doing those types of songs as well. By the way, Real Spill is also amazing intro to the whole thing as well. Just wanted to throw that in there. But I still have faith in that next album, and I'm just saying, like, the first week sales are looking good. But a lot of you also said in the comments that what's going to be really interesting is to see what the second, the third, the fourth week sales are like. So to see how the album is retaining its momentum instead of just being a big hype around when it drops. Even though I was very happy with the first week numbers, you know, 200,000, even if it's a little bit below 200,000, like, that's completely fine with me. And I'm happy that Baby is doing this well after dropping 2 singles that were whack, like, to be real with y'all. So that's why I'm actually, I kind of like, I didn't like change my opinion on this record. I just wouldn't, you know, phrase it as harshly as I said it in that first reaction video. But to be fair, that was a first reaction video. That was my first emotional thoughts after the record dropped. And I tried to get them across as reflected as I could. And I hope that this video was kind of like speaking to the people that just saw the hate on the surface and didn't really see that I just wanted the best for Baby. So that's kind of like what I had to say with this video. I'm actually happy with this album. I'm so happy we have new Baby tracks. Like, when I look into my, you know, liked songs, it's like all Baby, like Perfect Timing, Not Finished, Russian Roulette, all that type of stuff. So I'm actually pretty happy with the album that we have some new stuff to listen to. I just wanted the dude to go bigger, and I hope he does that on the next album, even though I don't want to get my hopes up for nothing, but I do think he can do a lot better. But yeah, let me know what you think about this. Are you happy with the new album? Are you disappointed? Let me know your thoughts. Has your opinion also changed since I dropped the first video? If so, that would be so interesting to hear. Let me know in the comments down below, because that would be the most interesting part, to see how y'all have developed y'all's opinions on this with me together, you know, over the course of the past couple of days. So I'm happy with the new Baby album. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.